Be Frankie.
Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy BDELL. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Today, I'm going to be decoding the hidden dynamics of the prophetic date of June 6, 2024, and how it's esoterically equated to the numerical synchronization of 666, and how it's also in alignment with the afflictions of the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, and how it's also synonymous to the statements made by Garcia talking about the spiritual implications that are going to be taking place on the planet in the near future, right? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those videos you got to get your notes out for this one, because I came across some intrinsic evidence, some substantial evidence that supports this claim. There's a lot of information we're going to get into tonight, right? So when you're talking about the shifting process, right, a lot of people hear this thing called the shift. What are you talking about? When you're going through a shift, the shift is based on an astrological narrative that's based on the sun's precessional movement that's also subjected to the precessional circle of the equinox, right? So you're going from the Alpha Draconis star system, which was ruled by patriarchy under a patrilineal system, which is basically the sheer form of capitalism, imperialism, and theocracy. So when you're going through a shift, everything starts to change within the simulation, right? Everything starts to change. The rules start to change, right? That means that everything that was subjected to a subordinate energy on the planet has to revert back into a natural frequency by reverting back into the star Polaris, which is basically a transmutation process, right? So the star Polaris is the true light. So that's why everything is getting exposed in real time when you talking about the movie industry, the music industry, politics. All these things is getting exposed because it's going from a shifting process. Because the Alpha Draconis star system was basically ruling and managing the planet under the age of Pisces, age of Aries, and the age of Taurus, right? So the age of the true light is the age of Aquarius, to where everything gets exposed in real time. So when you look at the top right here, you look very closely, it's got Alpha Draconis, right? Alpha Draconis, Draconian star constellation, which is also equated to Drake, which is equated to Draco. We're going to get into that as we get through the presentation, because it all lines up with the judgment of the red dragon, right? So when you look at the top right here, it says Alpha Draconis star system. So when you're going through a shift, you're shifting from the Alpha Draconis star system to the star Polaris, which is the North Star, right? That's what's happening. That's why everything is starting to change. That's why Cat Williams said that 2024 is going to be the year where everything gets revealed, right? Because we're in the age of the true light, meaning that there's a cosmic and divine order that has to be implemented on the planet, right? Because if you don't tell the truth during this time period, right, you basically breaking cosmic oath, right, with the Elohim. So now there's this date called, June 6, 2024, and this date was projected on Monday evening on the Michigan Central train station in Detroit's Corktown neighborhood. So this date is very prophetic because, as I was showing you guys not too long ago, it's in alignment with this movie called The First Omen. The First Omen is basically talking about the resurgence of the Antichrist, right? And in the movie, the Antichrist's name was Damon. So this movie actually came out 3 days before the solar eclipse that took place on April 8th. So the first Omen, this movie is a brand new movie that came out last month, and it's also talking about the spiritual implications that's going to be taking place on the planet, because they said that the Antichrist, he is born on June 6, 2024. As I was showing you here, it was projected upon this building in Detroit, right? So this is also in alignment with Detroit because you having new land masses and starting to shift. There's a new monolithic structure underneath the water that's starting to basically resurface on the surface of Lake Michigan, which is close to Detroit, right? So it's not a coincidence that all this stuff is taking place. Now, this is also in alignment to Ryan Garcia, because he also made some claims about June 6, 2024. So when you look at June 6, 2024, you got 666, which is also equated to the sigil of the Antichrist, right? That is basically the numerical nomenclature title. So when you look at the time from his fight that he had with Devin Haney, right? You got on 4/20/2024 all the way up until June 6, 2024. That is exactly 6 weeks and 6 days apart, right? And I also did the Vedic gematria code on this fight. When I looked up the numerical spectrum and the values, Ryan Garcia's name equated to earthquake. It equated to tsunamis. It basically equated to some type of weather modification that's going to be taking place within the simulation. So now, also, when you look at the Vedic gematria code, right, Las Vegas equates to 33. Los Angeles equates to 36, right? Not a coincidence, because these are all Freemasonic numbers. Now I'm going to play this video by Ryan Garcia. Matter of fact, I didn't even send it to myself. So hold on for a second. I got to play this video. I'm going to send it to myself real fast. Here we go. So this video is basically going to be telling you about everything that I'm saying, because everything within the simulation is basically staged. So when you understand the energy extraction matrix and the binary code system on it, it is operated by a supercomputer. So that means that everything within the simulation has a number. So that's why everything is basically subjected to a numerical value, right? Everything is subjected to a numerical value, right? So that means that everything within the simulation is actually being staged by the trickster gods who control the simulation in itself, right? So I'm gonna keep talking as this video is starting to upload on the screen. I'm trying to get it to the my computer. You know what? All right, here we go. Because there's a lot of stuff that's, that's acclimated to this video, right? There's a lot of stuff that's acclimated to this video. All right, we got the video pulled up, ladies and gentlemen. So this is one of those videos, man, you want to get your snacks out, because I came across some very intrinsic evidence and new information that nobody is on the internet, nobody on YouTube is talking about. And we're going to bring it as we get through the presentation, right? So get your snacks out, because this is a wonderful time to be alive during this time period, because, everything is based on prophetic divination. Everything that's taking place is divine cosmic order, right? Everything is divine cosmic order. So I'm playing this video by Ryan Garcia, and he's going to be telling you about the spiritual implications that's going to be taking place in the geographical land masses of Las Vegas and Los Angeles.
June 6th, any
6th.
specific location, or
LA and Vegas.
June
On
6th?
June 6th in 2024. All right, that's where I'm going to leave it with.
There you have it. Everybody get the hell out of Los Angeles. Everybody if you're watching this, run, bitches. Y'all better get this dude's spitting Bible verses. Mom, if you're watching this, get out. Mom, Get out. June 6th, come to Florida. June 6th, Vegas and LA. There you have it, right?
I have.
I'm gonna play it again for those who haven't seen it. Play it one more time. He said specifically verbatim that on June 6, 2024, that there's going to be some type of calamity that's going to be taking place in Las Vegas or Los Angeles.
June 6th?
June
Any
6th.
specific location or
LA and Vegas.
June
On June
6th?
On June 6th in 2024. All right, that's where I'm gonna leave it with.
There you have it. Everybody get the hell out of Los Angeles. Everybody if you're watching this, run, bitches. Y'all better, yo, this dude's spitting Bible verses. Mom, if you're watching this, get out. Mom, get out. June 6th, come to Florida. June 6th, Vegas and LA. There you have it, right?
I have.
So I'm not sure what he's basically alluding to, but like I said, you cannot negate what's taking place. You cannot, make this situation the common denominator in your life if you live in those two places. And the reason I say that is because, I'm not one of those people who date set. I'm not date setting and saying something is actually going to happen on June 6, 2024. I'm going to say it again. I'm not saying that something is going to happen on June 6, 2024, but you have to keep your eyes open. So it's one of those things where when people date set, when people say, oh, something's going to happen during this time period and nothing happens. But what if he's saying something and then it actually happens, right? To where they basically using a form of dark psychology and reverse psychology to basically placate to your emotions, to where you basically sweep and undermine the situation to the point where you get caught up into whatever's going to be taking place on that timestamp, right? So that's why you see right here, Las Vegas, the numerical value of 33. Los Angeles, the numerical value of Los Angeles is 36, right? So you got the numerical value that's equated to that. So this is also in alignment with Las Vegas when you're talking about this publication right here. And it's talking about the resurgence of the Antichrist in Las Vegas, right? And it's also talking about climate change and global warming as you have the resurgence of the Antichrist in Las Vegas. So that's something to look at, as something to think about, right? It is, something to look at from a critical standpoint. Now, this is where it also gets kind of crazy, because when you look at the timestamps from Monday, September 30th, in 1935, where the Hoover Dam was basically built, goes all the way up to real time of June 6, 2024. It is basically exactly 88 years, 8 months, and 8 days apart. Now, when you understand the numerical sequence of 8, or you see a synchronization of 8s, 8 is also the symbology of justice. It's the symbology of leadership, prosperity, balance, but it also represents karma. So karmic retribution is basically the personification of the 8th year, which is 2024, right? This is why everything is starting to change. This is why everything in the simulation is starting to basically dematerialize, right? Because it's basically the symbology of judgment. So that's why the solar eclipse on October 14th, which was on my birthday, that was the Ring of Fire eclipse, which is basically the foundation of judgment, of justice, right? The scales of justice. Put the red dragon, the beast, the Leviathan energy, the sleep spell of King Gu. Everything was under judgment during that time period, right? So that is basically the precursor to what everything is happening right now. Now, one thing you got to understand is that, when he was talking about Las Vegas and LA and things of that nature, one thing you got to understand is that Los Angeles and just California in itself is in the Cascadian subduction zone. San Andreas was also talking about a big, massive calamity, an earthquake that took place on the San Andreas fault line. So that is also equated to the Cascadian subduction zone, right? So it's not a coincidence that this movie released on May 26, 2015, and it also released in the United States all over the planet on May 29, 2015. And the dates in between was 9 years and 11 days from June 6, 2024. And you also got the same numerical nomenclature value from 9 years, 1 week, and 1 day, which is also equated to 9/11. 9/11 was a form of a ritualistic sacrifice that took place back in 2001, right? When you're talking about the so-called terrorist attack, right? And this is also going to line up to the numerical spectrum of 9/11 as we get through the presentation, because so it's not a coincidence that on April 26 on 2024, Congress voted on a bill that would basically criminalize questioning the events surrounding 9/11, right? So everything is basically a ritual, right? So it's not a coincidence from the movie when it's talking about earthquakes, the movie San Andreas with Rock, when the movie came out on May 26, 2015, and you go all the way up until June 6, 2024, that is 9 years and 11 days apart. Not a coincidence. And we all would know what took place on this day, right? So that basically means that there's going to be another Black Swan event. There's going to be another big calamity that's going to be taking place on the planet. Now, also, you got to understand, you got to look at something about the West Coast in Las Vegas or whatever, because like I said, it could be one of those things where it's not only signifying that there's going to be a big earthquake. It can be some type of, these interdimensional parasitical entities coming to the planet. It could be one of those things. It can be one of those things where it can basically be the symbology of some type of invasion or some type of attack on U.S. soil. So I'm gonna play this video, and it's gonna be showing you about many different things to look at, because we just had a zombie attack in Las Vegas not too long ago, around like last week. So I'm gonna play this video.
A grisly murder in downtown Las Vegas. We thank you for joining us here at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. It happened yesterday morning around the area of 3rd Street in East Charleston. 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne was there first with news of this murder yesterday, and he joins us live. Kyle, with the latest.
Denise, Brian, consider yourself warned. The details of this murder here in downtown Las Vegas are disturbing, but this is the blog where police say they arrested a man named Colin Check, age 31. He was arrested yesterday on open murder charges. Not in court today, Judge Rebecca Sachs said Check was in the hospital. A police report identified the victim as Kenneth Brown. A document obtained by the 8 News Now investigator says Brown had a large cut to part of his head and that he was missing an eye and an ear when police found him. And neighbors yesterday were amazed with what they heard.
Now, so this is also in alignment, and I was telling you before, like the last video that I put out talking about the effects of the solar eclipses, because like I said, you have these interdimensional parasitical entities basically hijacking the vessels of those who are basically NPCs, right? Because these interdimensional entities are basically grays, because grays, they have the ability to not take corporeal form. They can use their ethereal state to infiltrate the anatomy of an NPC to carry out a certain agenda, because grays, they don't have the ability to basically procreate, right? They don't have the genetical faculties to basically procreate and to basically create and extend their race in the future. So they got to live through the physiology of NPCs. So this is why you see the mass production of demonic possession that's taking place on the planet, right? This is why you're seeing the influx of energy, a negative energy on the planet. And this is basically a part of the implications of the solar eclipse that took place. So I'm going to play back this video a little bit so you can know what's going on. So the black guy is the guy who basically was subjected to a demonic frequency, and he turned into a zombie and killed somebody, basically in Las Vegas. So it was not a coincidence that Ryan Garcia was talking about Las Vegas. Something's going to be happening in Las Vegas on June 6, 2024. So the numerical value within the simulation, when you understand gematria, it lines up to everything that's taking place within this video.
when police found him, and neighbors yesterday were amazed with what they heard.
Pretty bizarre, man. Obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes on out here, as you said, but this takes the cake as far as just all out there-ness. You know what I mean?
It's pretty disgusting.
Yes, sir, absolutely so. I'm not sure what this person may have been going through, but yeah, something else I would say entirely.
Police say Czech was going in and out of consciousness while he was in police custody and told cops that something was, quote, possessing him. Here at the bus stop where police arrested Czech, the scene is too bloody and gory to show you on television. Just about as bad as those gory details in the police report, which you can read more about on our website. Reporting live in downtown Las Vegas, Kyle Payne. 8 News Now.
Kyle, thanks. Now, today at Las Vegas Justice Court, a new date for Czech was set to be in court. The new date is May 1st on Wednesday. Meantime, he's being held without bail while he is in the.
See, everything is taking place, so it's not a coincidence that you see the manipulation of people's neurological faculties that's taking place. So now I just had a download because it's not a coincidence that you're starting to see stuff like this. Everything as far as, is based on frequency warfare, because the frequency in itself has the ability to manipulate your neurophysiology, which is also connected to your nervous system. So when your nervous system is basically infiltrated, that basically puts holes inside your auric field to where you're basically at a low vibrational state to where these entities can take upon your physiology. So this video is going to be showing you how all these frequency waves is also in alignment to the path of totality when you're talking about the solar eclipse that took place, right? And this happened last week.
On the 16th, they started at 9:11 at night until 9:11 in the morning. You see the pulse going.
Now, remember what I said about 9/11, because 9/11 is a ritualistic sacrificial number in the Freemasonic occult, right? So he keeps saying 9/11. They started these frequencies from 9/11 in the morning to 9/11 at night, right? Which is also connected to what I was telling you, because there's a big sacrifice that's going to be going on, right? I told you, when you look at the numerical value in gematria, San Andreas, the movie came out on May 26, 2015. And then when you go to June 6, 2024, which is equated to 666, it's basically 9 years and 11 days apart, 9/11, right? 9/11, we all know what took place on 9/11, right? That's why they don't want you speaking about it. They just passed the bill, right? Congress signed an executive order to bend the law to not talk about it, right? Now, as he was telling you before, right here, he said it on from 9:11 a.m. to 9:11 p.m., they was putting all these frequencies in the atmosphere to manipulate the neurological faculties to where these entities can take upon your physiology, right? So this is kind of basically like the precursor to the last video I put out last week, right? You got to watch that video.
Going from the east to the west coast. All right, boom, you see that? Those are next rad stations. Each of those towers are 750 kilowatts, pumping out between 2.7 to 2.9 gigahertz in the microwave range. This is roughly the same frequency as your microwave oven, and it has the same cause and effect relationship. This was 12.
You see all these frequencies. Just imagine, for all those people who have, the draconian juice within their physiology, just imagine what it's doing to your whole biological structure. You know what I'm saying? It is basically dismantling all those metals within your body.
Long that they held this pulse while we slept. And look at all the other anomalies that are happening here on the screen. Look at what's going on in Texas. All right, you see that big blast? Looks like a giant laser, doesn't it? Boom, see that? Then it gets obscured by the towers. Now they can add the Doppler towers with this. Next rad has like 159. Doppler has 160. Now you can consider the HARP stations. There's 33 of those, but they don't show up on this satellite. This covers the microwave ranges, the next rad. All right.
Also
now,
notice
this is where it gets worse.
Also notice he says 33. I'm gonna turn it back.
This satellite, this covers the microwave ranges, the next rad. All right. Now here's where it gets worse. Stations. There's 33 of those, but they don't show up on this.
They got 33 weather modification, frequency modification weapons within the geographical landmass of America, right? Frequency warfare.
Satellite. This covers the microwave ranges, the next rad. All right. Now here's where it gets worse. On the 17th, the next day. Here you go. Starts at 8:11 and goes until 9:11 in the morning. So they increased it another hour each day. So this is 13 hours we're getting hit with these frequencies. All right. You go to the 18th. They start at 7:11 at night, going till 9:11 in the morning, increasing it to 14 hours. If you feel like hell, this is a really good reason. Noticing they are rampant.
So it's not a coincidence that all this is taking place, right? Because the frequencies in itself has the ability to turn you into a shape-shifting skinwalker, right? So this is a video of a person who looks just like a dang skinwalker.
Look at this. Y'all seen this? Do y'all see that? Hold on, let me slow it down for y'all. Check this out. Remember, they said these people will
see, look, people are starting to change. Their physiology is starting to change because of the frequencies, right? Because like I said, from April 8th all the way up to June 6th, like I said, is one of those things where you got to be very meticulous of your surroundings, right? Because these people are
showing themselves.
This system is basically starting to crumble because as I was telling you before, the age of the false light was under the Alpha Dracona star system, right? That was ruled by the Red Dragon, right? The Alpha Dracona star system under Draconian law, under Patriarchy, under a patrilineal system, was basically working in tandem with the electrical grid system. So now, since everything is getting exposed, right? Because we're in the age of the true light, the star Polaris, everything is getting exposed in real time. Everything is getting exposed to where these entities cannot hide from their true form, right? This is all connected to the demon face syndrome too.
You guys see that? Bro, and that's not a filter neither, because as soon as she seen this, like she tried to hide her face. Y'all see that?
So like I said, I don't know if that's a crackhead or a draconian. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, like I said, you still got to be very meticulous of your surroundings during this time period, because like I said, things are going to really start to get weird as we segue through this this great awakening process, right? So you also within Las Vegas, as he was talking about in the video, because I remember during the time period of Las Vegas last year, it's not a coincidence that this video started to resurge again on national television. So this video came out last week, and it's also talking about Las Vegas, just like Ryan Garcia was talking about. There's going to be many different implications that's going to be taking place within the geographical area of Las Vegas on June 6th. So it's not a coincidence that this video came out last week. So I'm going to play this video talking about the Las Vegas non-human encounter was traumatizing, teen says.
Happened in Vegas, not stay in Vegas. It circled the known universe. The frenzy grew when reports surfaced that unknown authorities had afterwards placed cameras around this family's home. The family was driven into hiding, off the grid, out of sight, underground. But 10 months later, the mystery lives on, and looky-loos and alien hunters are still on the prowl. The family posted no trespassing signs, but break-ins have been reported frequently here, as recently as last week at this home. Tonight, a News Nation exclusive, the teenager who made that 911 call is finally speaking publicly at length and laying out exactly what he saw that night and what has happened since. Our national correspondent, Alex Capriello, joins me with that live from Las Vegas tonight. So, Alex, it's really compelling with the advent of a year passing almost, that they've had a chance to digest what it is they've been through. They have kept quiet. They are not looking for attention. And yet now you're getting information, especially from this 15-year-old or the 17-year-old, that's pretty alarming.
Yeah, and I've found out from speaking to Angel Kenmore that life just really has not been all that easy for the past year since they saw that 10-foot tall creature in their backyard right here behind me. For him, he says that he's plain and simple traumatized by it all. He says he can't sleep at night. He's become slightly paranoid. He cries at night, trying to make sense, heads or tails, of what exactly he saw that night, playing it back over and over in his head. You can imagine the torment that's going through in his head. But to this day, none of the family has a very good explanation about what exactly they saw that night. But to their credit, they've stayed pretty consistent about the facts and the details. I really grilled him about that, trying to get him to remember as much as he possibly could about that night. Here's a portion of our conversation. What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Start again, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing a truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like a couple of seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it, the alien demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
A demon.
A demon.
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed. That once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is. Only God knows what it was. But I'm thinking it's like something bad. It's not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing?
Yes, it was moving. You could see like he was breathing, like he was like pissed off, like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother?
He was looking at me. Yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. So I remember he was growling like a dog, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know. I think I was praying or something like that, and it just let me go. That's when I went inside, and I saw my dad. I mean, I saw it too.
It felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh yeah, I couldn't move. Yeah.
You were paralyzed at the sight of this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't move.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone.
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
That, like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want. I'm not doing it for fame. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos. But I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that I made no money off this. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no. Hopefully not, though. I hope God no. Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
And Ashley, I don't know what your impression of him was, but when I was speaking to him personally, I was really struck by how confident and authentic he was about his memories of that night. There's a lot of people obviously out there in the world that would make up ghost stories in order to chase any sort of clout or fame. But to me, Angel came across as somebody who truly believed that he saw something that night in that backyard right here behind me.
Yeah, Alex, he didn't really seem to have canned answers either. So if this was all a big ruse, he's either a really, really good actor, I mean, Meryl Streep quality, and, he certainly didn't script it, didn't seem to plan out answers, at the grasp. I do want to ask you about the family. This is the 17-year-old finally talking at length about his experience. And did he ever add some details there that what he saw seemed to be angry and breathing heavily with growling, looking right at his brother and him, and that he felt frozen, which is an account we've heard from other people who have felt that they've seen something out of this world before, that they've been frozen and unable to move. What about the family? Does the family back him?
Yeah, the family does, although they're much less willing to go public about it. I spoke to his mom, who basically said that she has no interest in speaking about it because she just feels differently than Angel. She feels like nobody in the world is going to believe her. Angel, on the other hand, while certainly not trying to publish his case widespread, he feels the need to share it because he wants the world to know what he saw, and also he wants the world to know that his family is doing okay and moving forward. In general, the family wants the spotlight off of them. Take, for example, all these no trespassing signs. There's at least 4 of them. But at this time, they are just basically saying, look, we don't really want to talk about it anymore, but we still stand behind the things that we saw.
So like I said, energy don't lie, right? Like I said, you can tell his energy wasn't subjected to clout Jason. He wasn't trying to get any type of fame. He was just, you know, breaking down his experience on national television, right? So now, as we get through the presentation even more, like I said, Ryan Garcia, like I said, he was talking about how something's going to be taking place in Las Vegas, right? So like I said, California, Los Angeles, Las Vegas is one of those things you got to be very meticulous of your surroundings in that time period, right? So like I said, I'm not date set. I'm not saying something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know, you still want to be very meticulous of your surroundings, right? Because you cannot negate when you look at the chakra system of the planet Earth, right? You got Los Angeles, or the state of California, is basically the first chakra, which is basically the sacral energy, the base of the spine. So that is basically the lowest vibrational place on the planet, California, where you have Mount Shasta. When you're talking about Hollywood and things of that nature, that's why everything is subjected to a low vibrational energy. This is where all the rituals go on, right? This is where all the sinning and all the sexual proclivities, all the Diddy parties, you know, all the sacrifices, all that stuff is subjected to that geographical area. So that's why, you know, the first chakra, which is a sacral chakra of planet Earth, is in the geographical area of California, right? So that's where that was also where the Church of Satan was founded, right? We're going to get into that. The Church of Satan, when you're talking about anti-LaVey in the Satanic Bible, right? So the Church of Satan was also founded in California. Not a coincidence that it's also in alignment with the lowest vibrational place on the planet, California, because it's on the root chakra of the planet. Now, so like I said, I'm not saying that it's going to be on this date, it's going to be a massive earthquake. But like I said, it's many different things to look at, because we all know that the deep state shadow government has high intrinsic technology, right? Because Nicholas Tesla, he patented a electromechanical oscillator in 1839 that uses steam to generate electricity and create earthquakes. That's because he understood the law of thermodynamics through pyrolysis, right? The law of thermodynamics, which is the conservation of energy as a transmutation process, taking the heat and the energy and the frequency of it and using it as an alchemical frequency to create something that's basically detrimental to the planet. So that's where he used this oscillator machine right here to basically create frequencies within the foundation of the planet to cause earthquakes, right? So also one thing to look at on June 6, 1944 is also known as D-Day, right? When you're talking about World War II, right? So it's not a coincidence that all this lines up with June 6, 2024, which is 666 in the 8th year. Karmic retribution, right? Not a coincidence. Now, as I was telling you before about Ryan Garcia, he is also the one we all knew about. Everybody who's been doing this work for a long time, everybody is not, you know, new to the information about Bohemian Grove, right? But for some people who are within my age bracket, they don't understand the implications of the secret societies that's also connected to the movie industry and the music industry, right? So this is where the OVO owl. The OVO owl was basically an emulation of the owl at the Bohemian Grove, which is also the ancient relic statue of Moloch, right? We finna get into it. So one thing you gotta understand is that, you know, Ryan Garcia, he made some statements about how he's seen ritualistic sacrifices at the Bohemian Grove when he was a child, right? And we all know that the OVO Club, Drake's record label, is basically the personification of the OVO owl, right? Not a coincidence. Because the OVO is actually acclimated to the OTO, right? It's an anagram for OTO. And OTO means Ordo Templi Orientis, right? So that's where when you get the talking about the OVO owl, that is basically the nomenclature title for OTO. OVO is synonymous to OTO because one thing you got to understand about the movie industry, the music industry, those industries in itself are basically masquerading as record labels when really they're secret societies. So it's not a coincidence that when you look at Drake's ring has a red ruby on it. And then when you look at the ring, it's also connected to the crown at the bottom of the OTO symbol that has the Knights Templar sigil on the heart, on the ruby of it, right? Not a coincidence, right? So now you got the global elite occultism since 1837. The global elite meets in secret in the redwood forest of Northern California, where they practice the cremation of care ceremony, which is basically an occultic ritual and appeal to Luciferic tendencies and egotism, because we all know that the ego is connected to the demiurge, right? The demiurge is being controlled by the archonic forces, which is connected to Baal, Moloch, Enlil, Yahweh, when you break down the etymology of the nomenclature title. So when you look at the Owl of Moloch, right, it's synonymous to the Bohemian Club established in 1872, right? So when you see the OVO owl, think of the Moloch owl, right? Because it's basically showing the credence to the god of Moloch, who was also Baal, which is also known as the Canaanite god. As I was telling you before, in the judgment of the Canaanite and the black nobility, the Canaanite is subjected to demonic rulership by way of democracy, which is the deep state. So that's why the deep state always shows credence to the rappers and the celebrities and things of that nature. So that's why it's not a coincidence that Drake, he propagates the sixth ether energy. The sixth ether energy is acclimated to the sleep spell of Leviathan, which is the sleep spell of King Gu, under the lunar cycle, under patriarchal, under the patrilineal system. So that's why it's all connected to these secret societies, right? When you go to Dr. York's publication, it tells you right here, you got the Brotherhood of the Snake, the Brotherhood of the Dragon, the Knights of the KKK. You got the Order of Luciferians. You got the Satanic Order. Then you got the Open Friendly Secret Society, which is connected to the Vatican. Then you got the Nazi Party SS. Then you got the Jason Society, the Bavarian Illuminati, the Secrets of the Ages, the Guardians, the Millennium, the Skull and Bones, which is equated to the 322. You got the Demolay Society. Then you got the Order of the Quest, the Jesuits. Then you got the Roscaharians. And then you got the Asatar Order. Then you got the Scroll and the Key, which is the lunar light lock frequency of the planet under a patriarchal energy. And then you got the Odd Fellows. Then you got the Order of Zion. Then you got the Lee Serpent Rogue, which is known as the Red Serpent, which is also synonymous to the Red Dragon. And the Red Dragon is connected to the Alpha Draconis star system, Draco, Draconian, Draco constellation, Drake. Is all connected, right? Because all these secret societies is connected to human trafficking, right? We're going to get into it as we get through the presentation. Because we all know that the god of Moloch is the god of sacrifice. In order to have riches, right, you got to sacrifice something on the planet. So that's why all those secret societies that I name is connected to human trafficking. So as I was telling you before, when you go to the H1408 Strong Concordance, the word God comes from the word Gad. Gad is a Babylonian deity who was also known as Moloch, Moloch or Baal, right? So it's basically equated to Gad. Gad is a deity, which is the god of fortune. So in order to have something within the simulation to sell your soul for, you got to sacrifice something. So the 666 is also, there's a negative connotation to it. It's not only subjected to 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, because we all know that we live in a dualistic paradox, right? So that's why Drake calls himself the 6 god, to propagate the 6 ether energy, the sleep spell, right? So that when you're looking at the 6 points, 6 triangles, and the 6 sides of the hexagram, that is basically the star of Renfrew, right? The star of Renfrew. So when you go to Acts 7:4-3 in the King James Bible, it says, "Ye took upon the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Renfrew, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon," right? So therefore, Renfrew and Moloch is basically the same entity. So when you see Drake propagating the 6 god symbol, he is showing his credence to Moloch when you look at the OVO owl. Not a coincidence, right? So like I said, there's a positive connotation because 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons is talking about the carbonated body, but it's also subjected to a negative connotation when you're talking about the veneration for the god of Moloch or Renfrew. So like I said, that's why when you look at the layout and the blueprint of the landmass and over in the District of Columbia, it shows you an owl. It's got the owl on the dollar bill. It's got the owl on the National Press Club. The Bohemian owl and the OVO owl are basically one and the same. Right? So also inside the Bohemian Grove is basically an elite retreat of rituals and secrecy linked to Clarence Thomas. So like I said, it's all connected to human trafficking because Drake, like I said, Drake's record label is being used as a proxy for human trafficking. So Toronto Man faces human trafficking charges. So as I was telling you before in the last video, in the video before that, that Drake, he hires people, he signs them and gives them record deals to basically traffic in younger children. So that's why in this song by Kendrick Lamar, he was talking about Euphoria. Euphoria is basically equated to a movie or a TV show that is basically executive produced by Drake. And it's basically talking about the sexual gratification of teenagers within this movie, young teenagers, right? And they're basically doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. So he's actually pushing an agenda that's acclimated to the plutocracy, right? So it's not a coincidence that all this stuff is taking place because some people saying that the beef is staged or whatever, but everything in a simulation is staged because everything, even you, me, everything around you is operating on a numerical value of gematria. So that means that everything in a simulation is connected to the binary code system of the matrix, right? On the dark side of the moon, the supercomputer, right? Which is subjected to the sleep spell of Leviathan. We're going to get into it today. So that's why, you see this mansion. I'm not sure if this is a Drake's mansion, but it was basically in this depiction that Kendrick Lamar put out. He was basically saying that Drake is also in alignment with human trafficking, basically. So it's not a coincidence that he put this song out called 616 in LA, because when you look at 616, one thing you got to understand about the numerical spectrum in ancient occultism, the 6, the 1 and the 0 are basically interchangeable, right? So when you go all the way up to here, you got 606, which is also equated to 616, right? Or 666. So when you understand that science, right? When you understand that science of that numerical value, that the 1 and the 0 are interchangeable because they're basically one and the same because it's connected to a dualistic paradox, right? So 616 or 606 or 666 is basically one and the same, right? So that's why when you look at this, you got the red house and the blue house, York Rite, Scottish Rite. So that's why the scorpion in itself is subjected to the veneration of Moloch. That's why Drake, he named this album Scorpion, right? Because the scorpion is also known as the red dragon in ancient occultism, right? So now, this is where we get into the Gnostic sector of cosmology, right? So when you study Gnosticism, right, generating the intrinsic evil in the entire universe, Leviathan separates the lower world, which is basically the demiurge, the third dimension mixed in with the lower fourth dimension, which is governed by the archons, who are basically the trickster ruler gods from a different realm of God. After death, a soul must pass through the seven spheres of heaven. If the soul does not succeed, it will be swallowed up by Leviathan, which is basically the personification of reincarnation, because reincarnation is not a divine concept. So that's why everything that is propagated by the archonic forces is basically under the lunar energy. The moon is the false light that keeps you stuck in a artificial time analysis mechanism of reincarnation. So when you stuck in reincarnation, you under the sleep spell of Kingu and the sleep spell of Leviathan. Leviathan, who holds the world captive and returns the soul into a animal body. Because when you subject it to a low vibrational frequency in a emotional energy or a toxic level, that's when they transmute the soul and put it inside of an animal, right? Because you was acting inside of your animal nature, right? Which is subjected to the root chakra, right? So that's why one thing you got to understand, when you see the word God, that's why I had to reiterate this for you, because when you see the word God, just like here in Drake's publication right here, talking about the sixth God. Hold on for a second. Because when you see the word God, a lot of people on the planet don't understand the diametrical differences between God in all caps, God with a capital G in lowercase letters, and God in all lowercase letters, right? So now the delineation process of the difference between this word, because these words are basically nomenclature titles to separate who's who and what's what within the simulation. So when you see God in all caps, that is basically telling you who's the Most High, who is Anu, right? So if you're a Christian, a lot of Christians, when they see the word God, they think it's the same entity when it's not, right? So that's why it's important to study ancient occultism and study Gnosticism, right? So when you see God in all caps, that is the Most High, who is Anu, right? So this is all connected to Sumerian mythology. So when you see God with a capital G and lowercase letters, that is equated to Enlil, Yahweh, Satan, Moloch. So when Drake says sixth God, he is showing his veneration to Moloch, who is Baal. Then when you see God in all lowercase letters, that means that we're basically a microcosm of the macrocosm. That means that we're basically a derivative of the Most High, who is Anu, right? Because God is also equated to Enki and the seeds of Enki, which is also known as the spirit of Melchizedek, which is the Christ consciousness, who is Tahuti, who is Thoth, or Quetzalcoatl, right? Which is also connected to the olfactory nerve in the brain, right? So that means that God in lowercase letters is within you. It's not an actual deity, right? So now, it's not a coincidence that I had to show you that, because the sixth God in itself, like I said, you got to read these publications right here by Dr. York, talking about Leviathan, 666, the beast as the Antichrist, because everything that's taking place right now on the planet means that something big is about to happen. right? So this is why they're hitting you with all type of distraction. This is another publication. I think this is part 1 and this is part 2 of the 666 Leviathan, the beast as the Antichrist, right? Because everything that's taking place, because this is the fall of the red dragon. The red dragon is also equated to Drake or Draco or Draconian star constellation, right? So when you see Drake, that is basically a nomenclature title for Draco, the dragon constellation, Alpha Dracona star constellation, by shifting to the star Polaris. So that's why the 6th god, or in the 8th year, in the dragon year, that's why everything is dismantling, right? This is the fall of draconian law, right? So that's why when you go to Dr. York's publication, Leviathan 666, it says verbatim, some of these beings now on Earth originated from the Draco star constellation. Tiamat is also the name for the Draco or Draco star system, because that was basically when the planet was under a management process under the Alpha Dracona star system, right? This is why you have capitalism and patriarchy and colonization. That's what this star system was basically propagating, right? So that's why we're going through the shift. Not a coincidence, right? Not a coincidence. Because they call Satan the serpent, Shaitan, or the dragon, who was also known as your so-called devil when you go to Revelations 12:7-9, right? So also when you think of the word Drake, it's dang. Also, when you think of the word Drake, right? This is also connected to Transylvania, because the word Transylvania comes from the word trance. Now, trance is a phonetical energy to where it puts you under a sleep spell. So just like when Dracula bites you on your neck, it puts you subjected to a sleep spell. It puts you under a lunar energy, right? Which is basically mind manipulation under psychological indoctrination. So the spell in itself, just like the music in itself is to put you under a sleep spell. The spell under which he controls, I don't know why it keeps doing that, basically takes an effect over your physiology, right? So that's why it's not a coincidence that, modern day music and modern day technology has a certain octave frequency and a vibration that has a yet another electronic device in a click system. Music that would otherwise be lifeless and rhythmless has same characteristics as songs written by Black people. Today you hear high-pitched electronic sounds, which is affected a portion of your brain. It basically manipulates your neurophysiology and your neurological transmitters, which basically controls the sympathetic nerves, which executes the physiological effects through the nervous system tissue. Because like I said, the music in itself, this is why they wanted to keep you distracted with the music, because the music in itself is what keeps you at a low vibrational state, to where these entities come in and manipulate your physiology, because now you're stuck in a trance. You're stuck in a trance worrying about the Drake and the Kendrick Lamar beef, right? As you have these entities coming in from the solar eclipses. So like I said, the tissue controls as tending to reduce the digestive secretion, speeding up the heart and contracting the blood vessels. The music also destroys the brain. The high shrilling sounds in the music are also it's basically the language of Satan, which is the sleep spell of King Goob, which is also known as the frequency of Leviathan, right? So it's not a coincidence that all this stuff is taking place when you're talking about the so-called beef, right? That's why all this stuff is taking place. All this stuff is taking place because it's a distraction to hide the fact that something big is about to happen, right? Something big is about to happen. And the reason that I say that is because, you just had the resurgence of the white buffalo, right? I think I got a video for it. The white buffalo is a prophecy. And I'm going to show you this video here. a white buffalo calf born on April 25th, 2024. So, not a coincidence that all this stuff is taking place because it's divine prophecy. It's divine prophecy within the simulation. Everything is a stage, right? Everything is a stage. So when you go to the white buffalo calf prophecy, so this is all connected to a spiritual significance on the planet. The white buffalo calf woman told the people that she would return in the form of a white buffalo calf, and that it will be both a blessing and a warning. And a warning is an omen, and an omen is a judgment. We all know that we had that solar eclipse was basically the personification of judgment, because the white buffalo calf will be born. This will be the beginning of a shift from the masculine energy back to the feminine energy. As I was telling you before, there's a delineation between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, because the divine feminine is basically the foundation of a matrilineal system, which is basically a matriarch. The matriarch is governed by the star Polaris. The masculine energy basically subjugated the feminine energy, because the masculine energy was the Alpha Dracona star system under Draconian law, under the age of Pisces, which is basically the age of darkness, right? That basically put a shadow over the divine feminine energy. So it's not a coincidence that, like I said, a white buffalo calf will be born this day, will be the beginning of a shift. That's why we're going through the shift, shifting from the Alpha Dracona star system to the star Polaris, the age of the true light, the age of truth, from the masculine energy back to the feminine energy. That with the birth is signifying the beginning of the return of the white buffalo calf woman, that upon the return she will begin to use the thunder beings, which is the thunder beings is basically the seven thunders. The seven thunders is also connected to the so-called seven plagues of the Bible, to start purifying. So this is the great purification process of the abomination of desolation that's going to be taking place on the planet. And she will start with the rebalancing of nature, right? Nature must take back the planet, as I was telling you before, after which the dominant feminine energy will start to shift from the male energy to the female. And we will start to see the balance in the material world, and then we'll start to see the shift in the spiritual world. So that's why I was telling you, the dimensions are basically starting to collide, right? So that's why it's all equated to Revelations chapter 21, verse 1, new heaven, new earth, right? New heaven, new earth, when you have the spiritual world merging in with the material and the physical world. She will bring a harmony, a balance, a spirituality to all nations of the world, right? So is that why that Ryan Garcia said that something big is going to happen on June 6, 2024, right? As we go back to this date, is that why? Is that why within this movie, they said in the first Omen, it came out on April 5th of this year, that the Antichrist would be born on June 6, 2024? Is this the why that Drake propagates the sixth ether energy? Right? Is this, everything is connected. Everything is not separate. Everything is esoterically connected. So, also it shows you through the sacred hieroglyphic carvings of the meta nature or hieroglyphics. It shows you the white buffalo calf. This is all prophecy, because all this is connected to the Alf symbol. The Alf symbol is the sigil of the Lamb. The sigil of the Lamb is also connected to the ancient Hebrew Tav symbol, right? So now this is where we get into this, because as I was telling you before, a lot of things are starting to change. A lot of stuff is starting to get weird. So this is why they want to hit you with, all these distractions in the movie industry and the music industry, having people beefing with each other. This is why all this stuff is taking place. I'm gonna play this video for you because this video is showing you there's a reflection that's being projected, a reflection of the sun being projected on this building, and it's basically showing you some type of ancient cuneiform or ancient Hebrew, some type of alien language that's being projected.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys see this, but every day at this time, when the sun sits in a certain spot, this appears on the building across from me. See how it just went away and then it goes away? It's like, is it Hebrew? Somebody told me something. Did you see that? There, then the sun peeks through at this hour, we get that. Anybody know what that is? Anybody? Please drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm like, is this a message? Is it Hebrew?
Also, like when you look at the bottom right here, it looks like it says May right here, right? And I was telling you before, it tells you from the solar eclipse from April 8th, when you go to Jonas chapter 3, verse 4, it says that Nineveh shall be overthrown. Nineveh is another nomenclature title for the word of America, which is also connected to the Assyrian Empire of Mystery Babylon. So with that being said, it tells you that in May, right, that Nineveh shall be overthrown in 40 days. 40 days from the solar eclipse goes all the way up to May 18th. So is this a sigil, or is this some type of symbology, some type of warning that something's going to be taking place? Is this all connected to what Ryan Garcia was basically saying, talking about June 6th, right? Now, I'm going to play the rest of the video.
Is it alien? What does this mean? Is it just a coincidence? Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. Tell me what you think.
Now, when you look closely up here, you can see some of the sigils right here is also equated to ancient Hebrew, right? And I'm going to prove it. When you look at the Alf symbol, right? You got the Alf symbol, which is also the sigil of the Lamb. And then you also have the sigil, which is the sigil of the Alf symbol, was also talking about a prophet, the resurgence of a prophet, or the Mashiach, or the Messiah, right? So some of these sigils in ancient Hebrew, right, is also equated to what you just seen in the video. There's an alignment there. So some of this stuff, it looks just like the sigils in ancient Hebrew is on this wall, right? So could this basically be signifying some type of judgment? Is it basically talking about the return of the Mashiach or the Messianic figure? It's one of those things, right? But you cannot negate that you see the ancient Tav symbol, the ancient Hebrew symbol, the ancient Alf symbol. So you can see the Alf symbol on there. Now, as I was telling you before, the Ring of Fire, this solar eclipse that took place on October 14th was basically in Libra. This solar eclipse took place on the sun's precessional movement as it was going through Libra, right? So when it went through Libra, Libra is basically the scales of justice, which is also connected to judgment. Judgment of who? Judgment of the red dragon. So this energy of the solar eclipse basically was a segue to everything that's taking place right now. So the Ring of Fire solar eclipse was the judgment of everything that took place, because this energy right here goes through the Cascadian seduction zone, right? So this solar eclipse, the path of totality, right, goes through Albuquerque, Mexico, right? So it's not a coincidence that it shows you the sigil of an Alf symbol, which is the sigil of the Lamb. The Lamb is connected to the non-ether, right? So the path of totality on October 14th, 2023, the Ring of Fire solar eclipse, it went through the hidden mountain of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, this is one of the things that I was telling you that nobody is talking about. You getting this information from this channel right here, verbatim. You ain't getting it from nowhere else, right? So get your notes out. So during the time of the solar eclipse on October 14th, which is my birthday, 2023, the path of totality went through Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is also known as the Hidden Mountain. But the path of totality in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, close to Los Lunas, they found a mystery stone on October 14th. And on this mystery stone, it is basically showing you the ALF symbols that is basically equated to the solar eclipses in all the path of totalities from August 21st, 2017, April 8th, 2024, and October 14th, 2023. And this rock, or this was found back in the 1800s. Well, it was basically goes all the way back to the 1800s. That's where it's dating back to, but they found it on my birthday on October 14th, right? So there's a divine prophecy that's taking place, because you know, when you see an ALF symbol, that is basically to a form of judgment. So during the path of that totality, it like I said, it goes through the Cascadian seduction zone, right? So it's imperative that whatever's supposed to happen on June 6th, be very careful, because you can see these sigils of the ALF symbol or the ancient Hebrew Tav symbol. You see it all over this rock, right? This mystery stone, this ancient mystery stone that was found in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they say it came from back in the 1800s, right? So we don't know, like I said, we don't know if some type of, nuclear war is going to be taking place, because we all know that Iran and is on America's radar right now. You know what I'm saying? They've been wanting to take us out. That's why, the World Economic Forum, they said it was inevitable that they're going to knock out the power grid, right? So like I said, I don't know if it's going to be the precursor to another lockdown. We don't know if this is all about the climate energy change. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about weather modification, we don't know what's going to happen on June 6th, right? I'm not saying something's going to happen on June 6th of 2024, which is also connected to the nomenclature title of 666. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying something's going to happen, but we all know that something big is bound to happen. It may not be on that day, but we all know something is going to be taking place, because it's too much going on at a spiritual level, so much to the point where the material world is basically trying to subjugate the spiritual prophecies and divinations that's taking place, right? So, not a coincidence. Now, so also, you got all types of anomalies that's taking place, all types of weird stuff. So this is why you have all these distractions talking about the beast, because everything in a simulation is basically a stage. So when you go to the independent TV publication, Witnesses recalls chaos as blood-soaked horses ran loose through London, right? So this is also connected to conspiracy theorists believe that a bloody horse running through London and Big Ben stopping the dark omens, signaling the end times, right? But like I said, the 8 year is a form of karmic retribution. So this is the end time, but it's basically not the end of the world, but it's basically the end of an age. The end of an age that basically ends the energy of the red dragon, the fall of the red dragon. This is why Drake is getting exposed in real time by Kendrick Lamar, whether it's a stage or not. But everything in a simulation under draconian law must fall, because draconian law was the foundation of a patrilineal system under patriarchy. So that's why everything, all the rules by way of cosmic order have to change. Everything has to change, right? So is this why they're doing all these rituals in London? You got rituals going on in London, right? Also, for those who do not know, red is also a satanic color, because when you propagate the color spectrum of red, you let in these lower form interdimensional beings when you do these rituals or whatever, right? That is being used. They use the color red at the cremation of care when they do those rituals at the Bohemian Grove. Also, like I said, red is also a Babylonian color, red and purple. So they're doing a ritual for climate change, right? They're doing some type of ritual. Y'all don't shut that shit up. Weekend, that weak song, weak as hell. Weak ass ritual. But as we get through the presentation some more, like I said, that took place in London. We don't know what's going to be taking place on June 6th, 2024. Right? 666. We don't know what's going to be taking place. So, for those coming in, I'm going to do a quick and a brief synopsis and a rundown as we get through the presentation. As I was telling you before, you know, you hear people always talking about, we're going through the shift. The planet is shifting. The poles are shifting. A lot of people don't understand and comprehend what's going on when people say that. What is the shift? The shift in itself is based on the sun's precessional movement that's connected to the precessional circle of the equinox. That is a transmutation process by going from the Alpha Draconis star system and shifting to the star Polaris, because the Alpha Draconis star system was under the age of Pisces, Aries, and Taurus, which was the age of darkness. The age of darkness was subjected to the Draconian law. So the Alpha Draconis star system is basically the epitome of patriarchy in a patrilineal system where you have capitalism, racism, classism, theocracy, imperialism. You have all these things under the foundation of the Alpha Draconis star system because it subjugates the feminine energy on the planet. So that's why I was telling you before, the white buffalo is basically the signification of the divine feminine energy coming right back to the planet as we going through the shifting process to the star Polaris, which is the age of the true light under a natural order, right? So everything right now in real time is getting exposed under the age of the true light. The true light, the star Polaris, basically dematerializes the firmament in the grid system. So that's why everybody right now is getting exposed. So this is also connected to June 6, 2024. When you look at the nomenclature, numerical spectrum of it, it shows you 666, right? Under the 8 year, because the year 8 is connected to karmic retribution. Karmic retribution is taking place, which is a form of an omen and a form of divine judgment. So that's why it's not a coincidence that Ryan Garcia said that something big is going to happen on June 6th. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not date setting. I'm not saying something's going to happen on this date. But if something happens, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where they're basically playing fifth dimensional chess. Because 9 times out of 10, when they say something's going to happen on a date, it never happens. But it can be a form of reverse psychology and dark psychology to where something actually does happen. We don't know if it's going to be the grid going down. We don't know if it's going to be an alien invasion. We don't know if it's going to be a big ass earthquake. We don't know what's going to happen on June 6th. You know, we don't know. Right? So like I said, this is all connected to Ryan Garcia from his fight on 420 to June 6, 2024 is exactly 6 days and 6 weeks apart. And then when you look at the nomenclature title of Vedic Gematria, Las Vegas equates to 33, which is a Freemasonic number. Then you got Los Angeles 36, which is also a Freemasonic number. So like I said, all this stuff taking place because it's based on divine judgment, right? And then you have the movie San Andreas, which came out when you're talking about the Cascadian seduction zone and the San Andreas fault line being activated. That's where it caused the big earthquake in Los Angeles. So the movie came out on May 26, 2015. And from May 26, 2015 to June 6, that is 9 years and 11 days apart, which is equated to 9/11. 9/11 is a ritualistic nomenclature title. It's a ritualistic sigil for the plutocracy, 9/11. So, like I said, some could happen because we all know when you look at the chakra system of planet Earth, California, Los Angeles, Mount Shasta, Hollywood, it's at the root chakra. So that means that it's a low vibrational place. Anything low vibrational has to go through a form of a great purification in order for the planet to revert back into balance. In order to balance out your chakras, you got to get the root chakra in order. You got to get that ass in order to reap the benefits of ascension. So the planet cannot ascend unless that geographical area has to be destroyed. Could it be destroyed with an earthquake? We don't know, right? This is all connected to the Drake beef, right? OVO is synonymous with OTO. OTO is the Order Templi Orientis. Then when you look at the sigil at the bottom of this crown, it has the Knights of Templar sigil, and it's also connected to Drake's ring, who has the ruby on it, right? So the OVO is the OTO. So that's why when you look at these record labels, they're basically proxies and masquerading as record labels when really they secret societies being used for human trafficking, because the god of Moloch is also connected to the owl. The god of Moloch in BDELL is also the sacrificial god, right? When you understand Canaanite culture, all this stuff is connected. So it's not a coincidence that Drake calls himself the sixth god. The sixth god is connected to the star of Remphan. The star of Remphan is also connected to this passage of Acts 7:43, Moloch, the star of your god, Remphan, right? Remphan, Moloch, Enlil, Yahweh. When you study the Tetragrammaton, is all the same entity. That's connected to the Bohemian Grove, where they do ritualistic sacrifices. When you're talking about Ryan Garcia, right? And it's like I said, it's all connected to human trafficking. Drake, he signed this guy Bacchanal Nice because he is a man who was facing human trafficking charges. That's why Kendrick Lamar put out the disc called Euphoria. Euphoria is executively produced, a TV show produced by Drake, and it's talking about sexual gratification when you're talking about teenagers. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, all this stuff is connected. Everything is connected. I don't care if people's like, oh, this is the distraction, but everything has, has an occultic message. Everything in the simulation has an occultic message. That's why when you look at certain things, you got to look at it with you got to look at everything with a supreme spiritual eye. You know what I'm saying? You cannot make things the common denominator so much to the point where you ignore certain things that's taking place, whether it's in the movie industry, the music industry, or whatever. So like I said, June 6, 2024 is the nomenclature title for 666 in the 8th year, which is karmic retribution. So everything has to revert right back into balance. So Garcia, he basically says something is going to happen on June 6, 2024. So, like I said, I'm not date setting. He's date setting, right? So it's one of those things where you got to be very meticulous of what's going to be taking place, because we all know we going through the shift. The shift is real. Everything is changing on the planet, right? Entities are starting to pop up. People's faces are starting to change up. People getting exposed in the movie and the music industry, right? All this stuff is being exposed. Everything has to be exposed because the processional circle of the equinox is under new management. When everything is under new management, that means that by way of cosmic order, everything has to change. There's new rulership, right? New rulership under a divine feminine energy, right? So it's one of those things where, when it comes to this type of information, people have to take everything with a grain of salt and, come up with their own interpretations and do their own independent research in order to galvanize the influx of information intuitively, because other than that, your ass is going to be lost in the sauce. So that's why I tell people, man, like, even if you think it's a distraction, still look into it. It's not going to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you bullshitting anyway. You know what I'm saying? You sitting around eating cheeseburgers and things of that nature. You still watching bullshit ass shows. Why not try to use everything as a teaching moment? Everything on the planet is being used in a form of edification. You have to use the edification in itself in order to see beyond the illusion that was subjected to the three-dimensional frequency. That's why you got to start looking at certain things as a teaching moment. Everything in a form of education. That's why you got to look at, you can't look at things as in a form of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, everything has to shift, but it all starts here. Your mind has to change, because when you change your mentality, you change your vibration. That vibration becomes magnetism. That's when you're able to become a magnet to get these cosmic energies to upgrade your spiritual intelligence, right? To where you're no longer subjected to the illusion, to where you're no longer subjected to everything low vibrational in your cipher, right? So that's why it's imperative to understand that you have to get your motherfucking mind in order to reap the benefits of the ascension process, right? Because we don't know what's going to take place on these dates. We don't know, but we do know something has to happen. Something has to happen, because it's one of those things where, in order to get to the hereafter, everything has to go through a process of pain, a process of affliction, a process of implications. Everything has to go through a detrimental energy. So that means that it's the same thing when a woman is giving birth to a baby. It sucks and it hurts, but at the end of the day, when the baby is born, you have a beautiful baby. But you got to go through that pain first. The planet is going through a birthing process. It's going through a pain. Everything's getting exposed. Your favorite celebrity, you know what I'm saying? I know it hurts you to see your favorite celebrities get exposed. Oh, I can't believe Drake and Diddy. I know you can't believe it, because you've been lied to under the Alpha Draconic star system, under the age of Pisces, the age of darkness. They kept your ass in the darkness. Now you're in the age of the true light. Now you're starting to see what's going on, right? This is why celebrities are being forced to come out. Cat Williams said everything's going to be exposed in 2024, right? Ain't that what he said? So that's why, like I said, it's one of those things where you cannot negate what Ryan Garcia is basically saying about June 6th, because everything right now is divine timing. Everything is divine timing, right? So that's why you got to get your mental fortitude in order. You got to stand on your square in order to reap the benefits of this knowledge. Use this knowledge and use it as an alchemical resource to better yourself, better your family, better the people around you who is also looking for the truth, to basically dismantle the illusion, right? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, get this video out there, because this video is very important, because we don't know what's going to happen on June 6th. We don't know what's going to happen 40 days from the solar eclipse, right? When you go to Jonas chapter 3, verse 4, Nineveh shall be overthrown. America, Mystery Babylon, shall be overthrown in 40 days, which goes all the way up to May 18th from the solar eclipse. We all know what solar eclipse means. It's basically an omen. An omen is basically judgment. This planet is under judgment because of the implications, because of capitalism, theocracy, imperialism, slavery, subjugating the melanated, carbonated beings on the planet, right? Propagating false religions and false gods, right? Because the Western world is a idolatrous civilization, right? Because they want you to believe in things outside of yourself. That's why this planet is being judged right now. All this shit is being judged. It has to go through a process of judgment. Because if it wasn't, how are you going to get karmic retribution by going to the divine feminine energy? Everything has to go back. This is new rules. New rules are basically being set. That's how that's how you know that people are basically under the sleep spell of Leviathan, the illusion. They under the sleep spell of King Gu, because people really believe that patriarchy is natural order, right? When it's not. Everything under nature, natural law, is the matriarch under a matrilineal system. Everything in nature is matrilineal. That's why they call planet Earth Mother Nature. They don't call it Father Nature. But Father Time subjugated Mother Nature. Father Time subjugated Mother Nature when he created the firmament, which basically was a spiritual cutoff that works in tandem with the electrical grid system under the Alpha Draconis star system. So now, like I said, 2024 is the fall of the dragon, right? It's the fall of the dragon. This is why Drake got to go down. This is why these Draconian reptilians, this is why they got to go down. The blue bloods, right? The blue bloods who control Jay-Z and all these other people in the music industry, in the movie industry, politics. All this shit got to get exposed, right? Everything has to get exposed. That divine cosmic energy, the divine feminine energy, is what exposing everything, right? Because patriarchy was basically the illusion. Patriarchy was the sleep spell of Leviathan under the lunar energy, right? So this is basically the symbology of the dissipation of the sixth ether as you have the rise of the non-ether beings. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, get this video out there. Share this video. End of transmission. And hit that subscribe button if you're new, please.
10:14. We will put an end to this madness.
It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. Karma's gonna get to you and then you'll have a chariot with only one less friend. Now I had distant folks that are looking to my eyes to understand the wisdom he's given and his wealth from the skies. So thanks for this meal that I'm about to receive, and thank you for my health and all the good memories. Thanks for the courage taking on another day when I used to not believe, but now I know about grace. Stay away from the fire cause the flames does burn. Go with your gut feeling, when it's wrong you learn. For every one step I take, the Lord takes two. And do unto others if you want it done unto you. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. This a completion, the selfish Proto-Grecian, Amerindian, Phoenician. I'm the last of the Mohicans, the bastard of the land, the pen, melanin, accretion. And we just trying to get back to the fact that we was kings and queens of a land before the avalanche seized it. I live on Turtle Island with the rest of the diseased. Better than the medicine for 7 different treatments. Niggas try to ride away but end up getting seasick. The sleep can feel my words like Braille and they're awakened with the penmanship of Hindu script written in them vacant monastery. Honorary payments to the prototype. Tomorrow's only a day away, but nothing happens overnight. The fuck's wrong with going left when you know it's right? Biting off more than I can chew, that's an overbite. Black on black crime is like watching 2 soldiers fight when all along they was on the same page. History. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land. It's me again, God. I know it's been a long time since I last called you back on your line. So I hope and I pray for your hand to help me on the ladder to the land.